Hello and welcome to the January Q&A,
Our first Q&A of season
season
7.
7.
That's so many seasons.
Our kids were so young when we started this.
That's crazy.
I
Seven
know.
years. That's a full cycle.
Of what?
7 years.
What?
7-year cycles, right? We're in the seventh year.
It's a full cycle, period. Okay, I guess so. Your
I don't
daughter
know.
just turned 3 cycles old. I understand.
Don't
This
you
is how
think
you
of
talk.
don't you think about life in 7-year cycles?
I do not.
Oh, I do.
I'm just learning this.
Okay.
All right. So we've reached one cycle.
Well, we're reaching the final year of this cycle when we complete the seventh year.
Okay. Interesting, Trisha.
Yeah.
I'm still getting to know you.
Full
There's
surprises,
so much. Like when I opened a drawer in your kitchen and found hundreds of corks.
right? I
I'm
almost
like,
threw them out yesterday. I almost did. And then I was
not
like,
going to happen.
nah,
Nah, she can't do it.
nah,
Not going to happen.
it'd be a bad idea.
Okay. So what have we got?
Well, we have a couple things to start with. So we had talked in our Christmas episode about our holiday traditions, and we thought it would be cute to ask our community what they do on their holidays. So now we're past the holidays. Do we still feel like talking about holiday traditions? Should
Oh
I
yeah,
share
I
them?
think we've done this in years past. In our New Year's Eve episode, we talked about it because we were answering just all those personal questions. Yeah. Now let's
So,
hear it.
okay, so people can start thinking about planning way ahead now in January for their upcoming holidays and plan some new traditions because we got some pretty cute ones.
All right.
Okay. Somebody said we add to it every year. That's great. Add what?
Add
Tell
what?
us.
Add
Tell
what to
us.
what?
Add traditions to their
That's
traditions
like just
every year.
saying we do more.
We-
Our tradition is we do more every year.
okay, well, they keep adding, so they keep getting a bigger tradition list. That's kind of fun. Um,
Okay. We'd love to hear one of them.
this woman says we buy an ornament on every trip we take. That's awesome.
I do that. I mean, I'm not religious about it, but I love ornaments for one. I'm really, really into unique and special ornaments. And I have ornaments from all over the world. I've done the same thing.
So I give each of my children an ornament each year on Christmas so that they can start building their own ornament collection because let me tell you, those things are a lot. Ornaments are kind of expensive. You can't just go
Yeah.
out and buy like 50 at once to
I
decorate your
mean,
tree.
you
If you buy
can.
unique ones, you can buy the
Right.
boxes of balls, but that's boring.
Right. Well, when my brother got his first apartment in his 20s in Hoboken, he was throwing a Christmas party and he didn't have ornaments. And I said, why don't you throw a tree trimming party?
That's cute.
And he was like, well, I don't want to imply that people need to bring anything. I said, just call it tree trimming party. And instead of bringing a bottle of wine, that might bring you a nice ornament. So he refused because he refused to accept my good idea, but he called it tree party as if that's very different. So on his
Tree
invitation,
party.
it said tree party. And some people picked up on
That
the
would be
clue.
confusing.
I
I'd
think
be
it
like, what is a tree
was.
party?
He just wouldn't totally go with my idea. And then
I
some
might
people
show
bought
up as a
ornaments.
Christmas tree.
Right. Dress up like a tree, everybody. No, so anyway, yeah, that's very nice that you do that for your children.
Our kids draw names for each other in honor of Saint Nick and his generosity. It's so fun. That's super cute. So they draw names and then they do like a secret Santa, I assume.
The cousins, all that my between my brothers and me, there are 8 children, and the 8 cousins are incredibly close. And every year they do their own secret Santa too.
Super fun.
Yeah. Now
Chris,
that
we
they're
go.
all now that they're all between, you know, 16 and 30. They've been doing it for a few years now.
We do Christmas at the Capitol in SD, assuming that's South Dakota. We see the beautiful tree and feed the wild geese.
Geese are just so underappreciated. More people should feed geese.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm kidding. People are always complaining about geese. I think that's sweet that she's feeding them.
They taste good.
Oh God, Trisha, you had to take it to a dark place.
Okay.
Next.
The whole family rolls great grandma's meat. The whole family rolls great grandma's meatballs a few days before, and then we freeze them and we do easy subs for Christmas dinner. How nice.
That's cute that they all cook together.
Yeah.
Really nice.
I didn't know that roll was the term for a meatball. I think of it more as like pat.
That's a hamburger. It's roll.
You roll it. I
Sure,
just,
you do it literally like this between your palms.
You know how to roll a meatball?
I am Italian. I grew up eating them and making them. Are you kidding? I became vegetarian, pescatarian when I was 29. Yes, of course I know how to make meatballs. Yes, and
Yeah.
that's how you do it.
Okay.
You roll them
Okay.
between your palms
I mean, I guess that's what I do when I make them. I don't think of it as rolling though.
because you're patting them and they look like little mini burgers. And you're not Italian.
No,
So
but
there
mine
you
are
go.
perfectly round, so I must be rolling them. Okay, she's right. You roll them.
Saving
Think
face.
about
This is
that.
what saving face looks like.
All right, I'll show you a picture of my meatballs. I'll make them this week.
Okay.
They're really good. Okay, let's see what else we have. We do a birthday cake with candles and we all sing happy birthday to Jesus. That's sweet.
Happy
Um,
birthday, dear Jesus.
that's nice.
That's really cute. Happy birthday
Keep going.
to you.
Now we all know Cynthia can sing.
I cannot sing.
That sounded pretty good to me.
No, I can carry a
Um,
tune.
this woman says we do a Christmas Day hike. Love that. We
That's
cut down our own tree. We go to, well, I hope they cut the tree down before Christmas Day. We go to look at lights. We eat crab. We watch the original cartoon Grinch first thing in the morning.
that's great.
That's a good one.
That one's a
That's such a
must.
good one. Um, for Christmas dinner, everyone brings appetizers instead of doing a meal. I have 11. I have 11 siblings. So that's quite a meal.
Wow, 11 siblings. Can you
That's
imagine how many
amazing.
cousins they've created?
That's so fun. Great. Well, now I got some new ideas. Which one are you going to incorporate into your new Christmas tradition?
Um, hmm. I'm gonna feed geese.
Okay. I can't wait to see that. I'm going
Wow.
to start buying an ornament on every trip I take.
Oh yeah, that's such a nice thing to do. I feel like that's common, but I guess it isn't that common. I'm so into ornaments. I have far more than I can possibly put on the tree, and I pack them onto the tree. I just love ornaments.
They are special.
I've given you ornaments over the years
Have,
from terrain. Yeah, have you? Look at you. How quickly we forget from terrain. You have a couple on your tree from me.
oh,
Zoo has a few on her tree from me.
I have some on my tree from your mother. I know that.
Oh, she gave you an ornament?
Last year.
Oh, very nice.
She gave me a box of ornaments.
Oh, they were like cookie cutter ornaments,
Mhm.
right? They were really unique. Right.
Yep.
Okay.
They look
Forgot about
beautiful on
that.
the tree. I put them up for the first time. All right. Back to birth. Holidays
Okay.
are over.
Fine.
That's it. That's all you guys get. No more holiday talk. So I do want to share something that somebody wrote in yesterday, just because it's on my mind. And it says, I recently had an ultrasound for my third baby, and the doctor reviewing the ultrasound noticed comments about a previous birth where I had a significant tear. I explained to him that after being forced to wait in the ER so long, by the time I got to my room, the baby had pooped, and I was told I had to push immediately. He came out so fast and so hard, and with his arm up, so I tore badly. The doctor said that if they had mentioned the possibility of a fourth degree tear, that he recommended a C section instead for this baby. I was surprised by this comment. I would have thought a C section would be a last resort. Is a C section less traumatizing than a fourth degree tear?
Well, I don't think traumatizing is the word. It's how women think. But is it less risky? How does it bode for future births? No, a C-section is the last resort. It's been so normalized that we have women who are told they should have them. Oh, you had a big baby. You should definitely have a C-section next time. Well, you really tore this time. You should definitely have a C-section next time. That, they do this all the time. No, I mean, having a fourth degree tear is terrible and it's rare and it's terrible. And for all the clients I've had who had a third or fourth degree, they didn't again in their subsequent births because there are things you can do to prevent it. But what a thing to say.
This statement, this comment is absurd. It is a perfect example of the horrible coercive techniques that doctors use to get them to persuade you to do what's convenient for them. To having a C-section to prevent a fourth degree tear is a stupid idea. Nobody should ever buy into that. If she even had a fourth degree tear, it doesn't sound like she was even totally sure. It's because they told her to push her baby out as fast as possible because her baby had pooped. Big deal.
I
So her
know.
baby pooped. That happens in labor. So all of this is bullcrap.
You should not rush a woman like that.
Absolutely
That's
not.
why
Everything
she
about this is
tore.
wrong.
That's
Exactly. That's
why
what I'm
she tore.
saying.
And then they're saying, "Oh, look at that, you tore. So let's not
And
risk
now
that next
she's
time."
thinking, considering that she should have a C-section because she thinks that there's something wrong with her perineum and that she's going to have a fourth-degree tear again. So this is all just a lot of nonsense. And, many women could buy into that belief so easily that, because like you said, a fourth-degree tear is a horrible thing to recover from. It's very difficult, but it is extremely unlikely to happen spontaneously. Like there's something behind that happening, and she was forced to do things that caused that.
And it's unlikely to happen again, especially if she takes measures. And we've done a whole workshop on this on Patreon that people can download to prevent it. There's so many things to do to reduce the likelihood of ever experiencing that. And it's rare to begin with. We hear these things so often.
Good thing we're here to talk about them. All right, on to our questions.
Oh, sure. I forgot all about that.
That's what we're here for.
Totally forgot.
Okay.
Okay.
We've just gotten used to just getting on here and having conversations with no agenda.
Well, I was recalling the New Year's Eve episode, and we really just sat back and talked and talked and talked and played some voicemails for fun and talked, and we covered every topic in that episode. And I think my brain switched back to that format. But here we are. We're
Fun.
professionals. We're going to be playing questions and answering them. And here we go.
Hey, Cynthia and Trisha. This is Jordan. I've got a question for y'all about breaking the bag of waters. So I'm due in February with a boy. Something I've been hearing a lot lately is that it seems like it's really common for women in the hospital setting to get their bag of waters broken. I mean, is there any benefit to this? What are the risks? And if you're going to have your bag of waters broken, when is it a little more appropriate to have that done, or is it never really appropriate? I know I probably shouldn't say the word never. So I just have a question about that. And then I was just curious with my mom's births. She had all natural births with us, no epidural, no inductions, anything like that. But she did say that with all three of her kids that her water did not break on its own and they had to break it every time. So I'm just wondering what's the evidence behind this and just your overall thoughts, because I want to be empowered. I really want to know this information well before I go into the hospital. Thank you guys so much.
That just reminded me of something that I forgot I wanted to share. So I'll share it quick before we answer the question. I went to a birth this week, and no one in the family knew what they were having, boy or girl, right? And it was a beautiful birth. It was just like a perfect, beautiful, everything went so smoothly. Nice birth, nice timing, nice time of day. Kids had just gone to sleep. She had just finished dinner. She had the baby before midnight. So she was like tucking into bed. She had like had her baby between after dinner, after putting her kids to sleep, and then done by midnight, tucking into bed, ready to go to sleep on the first night with her beautiful baby at home. It was just lovely. But it reminded me of how special that moment is when you find out the gender of your baby when you don't know.
Oh, yeah.
So for people who are on the fence about this, please do not find out the gender of your baby. It was such a magical moment. And if you are sure that you need to know, fine, no problem. Some people just, it's like, I have to know. I just cannot not know. Totally fine, no judgment. But if you are on the fence, or if you feel one way and your partner feels the other way, don't find out. It's so cool. She just reached down. She gave, she lifted the baby up with her hands. And as she lifted her baby up, she felt the scrotum. And she didn't even say anything for a little while. She didn't tell anyone. And then she told her husband, and it was so sweet.
Yeah, I remember taking Alex into my arms and holding him and just like, that relief. And then I was like, oh, wait, what did we have? I was like, oh my gosh. It's a very sweet thing.
It's so special. So just a side note, because she had mentioned that she was having a baby boy in February. So let's answer her question.
Yeah, well, her mom said her water never broke. So where would her mom be today if they never broke her water? She'd still be on baby number one.
Where would she be? She'd still be in the call.
a big sack of water in there. The water will break. always. I mean, meaning if it doesn't break, then the baby is born in the bag of waters, which is very cool and completely safe as well. But it's typically going to break when you're in transition. It's very likely to break as the baby is moving through the birth canal. And if not, the baby is born in the call, which is so neat. And I've seen it happen. And I have a video of it that's amazing. You've seen a lot, Trisha, right? I mean, the babies are as small as a soccer ball. It is wild how packed they are in there.
Mm-hmm.
And when they open up that bag, how they just sprawl out. It's just unbelievable. So, what was her specific question that we should address?
Well, she wanted to know if her mother's water would ever break, which we answered. Yes, of course it would. And then her other question was, what are the risks of breaking the water? Should the water ever be broken? Is there ever a circumstance where it should be broken?
Yeah, I think that was it. I think that was her key question. I like that she said, "We'll never say never." That's kind of how I feel about amniotomy. I want to say never get them, but yes, it's a never say never. Trisha, you've given an example because I've put you on the spot with that. I've said, please give me one example because I am so anti amniotomy for so many reasons that we've discussed so many times. But I did ask you once, okay, lay out a scenario where you think it would be reasonable to consider doing one. Do you want to walk us through that?
Yeah, so this is something that's actually not terribly uncommon, but it's probably the only scenario where I feel like it's worth it. Unless, so one scenario would be the mother wants it. If for some reason she's just saying, break my bag of water. Depending
Why
on where
is that
she,
okay? Why would you say that rather than talking her out of that and telling her the risks? Why would you support that?
well,
Or do you trust her instinct in some regard?
I think you have to listen to her instinct. So she might be sensing that that bag of water is somehow holding her baby's head back a little bit, especially if she is a multip. So if she's had more than one baby, this does happen where the bag of water is sort of putting the pressure on the cervix instead of the baby's head. What you really want is that hard baby's head right on the cervix. That's what causes it to dilate. But sometimes if there's space, you have the bag of water, which is a lot softer. It's not putting as much pressure on the cervix. So sometimes midwives will suggest breaking the bag of water when a woman is well into labor. Well into labor. This, I'm not talking like to get into labor or an early labor. That is never a good scenario. But late in labor, she's having strong contractions, but maybe she's just not getting that last centimeter or so of dilation, or she's just not getting to fully dilated, or her baby's not coming down and she's a multip. Could also happen in a first-time mom, but more often in a multip. Sometimes breaking that bag of water, the baby's head lands on that cervix, it opens, and the baby's just born in a contraction or two after. So it can shorten labor under those circumstances. But so I would also agree, never is not the way to think of it. Early labor and for induction, I do not think is a good idea.
Oh, definitely not. Even mid-labor.
Really want to try to avoid that. It can cause a lot of problems. So there are a lot of risks. You can have the risk of, it definitely introduces the risk of infection. So if you have an amniotomy to induce, then now you're talking about potentially days of having that open access to the uterus, and you're going to have vaginal exams, and you're much more likely to get a fever. You can have cord prolapse with a rupture.
You can have an asynclitic baby leading to a C-section.
Definitely disrupt the baby's position, right? So that bag of water helps the baby rotate in the uterus. It helps provide lubrication for the baby and movement for the baby. And if that sac isn't there, they can get stuck more easily. Mm-hmm. It's also less comfortable after you break the bag of water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so there's a lot of reasons not to do it. Very few to do it, but occasionally, and this is where a good skilled midwife comes in, or a mother's really strong intuitive instinct, you might do it.
And ACOG itself, the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, did say that more than 15 studies show it does not, in fact, speed up labor. So in Trisha's case, the woman was right there about to give birth. The bag of waters was right there, just creating this little ebb and flow. That's very different from what women usually hear in the hospital, which is like once they've pushed Pitocin and everything else, it's like, well, now it's time to break your bag of waters. They imply that it needs to be done, and thank God they are there to do it because they know just the right time it should be broken, as if nature doesn't, pardon the sarcasm. And then the other thing they'll often say is this will speed up your labor. That's where it's false. That is not so. And even ACOG is saying we've got to stop doing this procedure so much. It's rife with risk, drives up C-sections, discomfort, etc. When you hear about how many women talk about how painful birth is, Start to remove the women who had Pitocin, who had amniotomies, who were put on their backs, and talk to the women who had physiologic births at home and see the difference in what they say about labor. Not that it can't be, not that it's not very intense, but these things make it far, far more intense.
And amniotomy is, in many hospital protocols, it is a routine part of induction and augmentation of labor. And that is where it's very problematic.
Wow.
It causes more problems than it helps, by far.
That's unbelievable. In the beginning of labor, what a crime. What an absolute crime.
Truly.
Hi, ladies. My question pertains to C-sections and cord clamping. My first was born naturally, and we didn't clamp the cord until it stopped pulsating, which was about 15 minutes after birth. With my second, after being stuck at an 8 for a long time, we decided to do a non-emergent transfer from our birth center to the hospital, where he was born at 10 p.m. via C-section and was whisked away immediately. The following morning, I was told I was given a T-cut. This happened in May of 2024 and due again in March of 2026. My question is, what is the best way to ensure that my baby gets as much cord blood as possible? And I know they don't want me open on the table forever. How much time is reasonable before cutting the cord? Thank you guys for all the education you have blessed us with. Have a great day.
She's not going to get 15 minutes in the OR. That's for sure.
You normally don't need it. Most blood transfers in just a few minutes. And the most blood transfers in the first. It does slow down over time. So a minute would be a huge win. Sometimes it stops completely after 3 minutes. And it's going to depend on the surgeon. It's going to depend on why you had a C-section, how your bleeding is, how you're responding. And sometimes doctors have done it. I just don't think it's the norm. So it really just comes down to so many factors.
Yeah. And most of all, it's going to depend on how the baby does immediately coming out of the C-section, which is unfortunate because if a baby is struggling to transition in the OR, the best thing the baby could do is be placed on the mother's chest. And that is just not routine in the OR. In a gentle cesarean, they will lower the drape and put the baby on the mom. And that really should be the norm and be the routine. But they're going to cut that cord fast if they need to do anything with the baby to help them resuscitate, because they'll want to take them over to the warmer. You know, there's also the risk of bleeding, like you said, but you can leave a baby for a few minutes after a C-section and allow that full transfer as long as the baby is doing well. They do have to kind of keep the area sterile, so that's another factor. But this is why they should have the gentle cesarean and a process and procedure for keeping that area sterile, for allowing skin to skin and allowing the cord to stay intact needs to be the norm in an OR. It's just not yet. So 1 to 3 minutes would be great.
Hi, Cynthia and Tricia. I had a question. After my first labor, which I thought went well, but not how I had planned, I ended up getting induced due to having a misplaced cord insertion. I got induced at 41 weeks, even though originally my OB told me I could go longer than that. But eventually she decided that the cord insertion could cause potential problems with a lack of nutrients getting to my baby. Overall, I feel like she treated me really well in labor. I ended up having Pitocin and then got an epidural 26 hours into my labor. After that, I delivered vaginally, and then she manually extracted my placenta. So I'm wondering if there is any medical reason why a manual extraction of my placenta was necessary due to my misplaced cord insertion. Thank you so much. Bye.
I'm not buying it.
No, this sounds like a bait and switch scenario. She was induced because she was 40 weeks and OB was getting impatient, and the cord insertion was a good excuse for getting her to buy into an induction. So misplaced cord insertion. I'm not exactly sure what she means there. You have either a velamentous cord insertion or a marginal cord insertion. I'm thinking this was probably a marginal cord insertion, which just means it's rather than inserting into the center of the placenta where that's the norm. Sometimes the cord inserts onto the side of the placenta, the edge of the placenta. It's not really a big deal. And you don't need to be induced, and you definitely don't need a manual extraction of your placenta as a result of it.
Definitely not. The evidence is that she was 41 weeks with a perfectly healthy baby that grew all that time. All the evidence is there that the placenta was working just fine.
Yes.
There's always some excuse at the end to induce women. This is always what happens.
Exactly, exactly. And the only scenario where a manual removal of the placenta would have been appropriate if it was a velamentous cord insertion or something like that, where it was at risk of rupturing, you might be a little more proactive. Maybe. I mean, you definitely don't want to tug on that cord if it's that, but manual removal is really only if she were bleeding. Like that's the only time I can think that you would do that.
Well, there's always bleeding.
No, bleeding excessively.
Right. Why don't you explain velamentous cord insertion?
So velamentous cord insertion is when the Wharton's jelly does not cover the vessels, when those vessels are exposed. So they're very prone to rupturing or breaking. That Wharton jelly is very protective.
Cool.
But I don't think that's what she had.
What did she call it? Not marginal.
Misplaced.
Misplaced. All the more suspect.
Right. She was given us a line.
And they're doing these manual extractions. We talked about this at length in our episode number 200 with Barbara Harper. Near the end of the episode, we were talking about this trend and how outrageous it is and risky and excruciating it is. And there's so much to say about it. But anyway, if you want to
There's no patience. There is no patience for the placenta in the hospital. They
It's
just
not
want to
just-
get that out so fast.
It's not just impatience. It is, you're right. It is so disrespectful to do that to a woman. It just makes me want to scream. I mean, they're putting their hands inside her body and it's so uncomfortable. Like, just let her bond with her baby. They're putting their hand up inside. It's such an invasion. It's so ridiculous, as if the placenta won't come out. And it's a trend. It's happening all the time, left and right. So that's why we had that episode with Barbara. I think it's a very important episode.
That's a life-saving procedure that you reserve doing something like that when you need to save a woman from a postpartum hemorrhage.
Yeah, that's the gray area. That's exactly how they can get away with doing it so often. Just like the Pitocin shot, which is now becoming routine. Another life-saving procedure when it's necessary.
It's been routine for a long time.
Hi, my name is Tara, and I had my baby about a year ago at a U.S. Navy hospital in Italy. I went in at 36 and 3 weeks. They put me on monitors, and after an hour or so, they told me my baby was having late decels in his heart rate with some contractions. They told me if I didn't induce right away that this would either end in stillbirth or that my baby would be born with serious brain defects. And induction was the last thing that I wanted. I fully prepared for a natural pregnancy a natural birth throughout my pregnancy. My husband and I talked about it for a couple of hours, and we ended up agreeing to an induction, as we had started with a Foley bulb and just other methods besides Pitocin. After about 10 minutes of having the Foley bulb in, the nurse came in and told me the OB wanted to start me on Pitocin. I knew that this was basically the end of the beginning for my entire birth. I felt like I basically just signed my dream birth away, because after we started with the induction, it was the cascade of interventions. During the time of my labor, the OB tried to get me to have a C-section 3 times. They told me that because of the late decels, again, that I was probably going to end up having a C-section anyway. So I either needed to get a C-section right away or get the epidural and probably still have one later. We resisted every time. And after about 17 hours of labor and a little over an hour of pushing, I ended up able to have my son vaginally. He was 6 pounds and healthy. My question is, do you guys think that I really did need to get induced? This is a question that my husband and I have wrestled with ever since, because we do think that he probably would have been okay if we didn't get induced. So I'm just wondering what your take is on that. I absolutely adore your show, and I can't wait to hear your answer. Thank you.
Well, we cannot say for certain that she did not need to be induced. Go ahead.
Well, but the great irony is one of the key risks of induction is fetal distress. They were trying to scare her about fetal distress. She, God knows how she fended them off with that kind of resolve. She did an amazing job at that alone. But she had, she was in labor for just the last part was 17 hours. Her son was obviously fine. He probably would have been under less distress. I'm not sure he was under any. I don't know to what extent he was under any, but it probably would have been even better if she hadn't been. But clearly he was strong and he was fine all along. I mean, the evidence, again, is right there before our eyes. You can't write that off. You can't chalk that off to luck. That was clear evidence he was fine all along.
That's right. I mean, you don't go through a long Pitocin induction and have a vaginal birth and the baby come out with perfect APGAR scores if late decels were truly an ongoing problem.
Can you define late decels for everyone, please? We always have new listeners. We always have preconception.
Right. So when the uterus contracts, it's normal for the heart rate to go down. And then the heart rate should return back to normal after the contraction. But when the heart rate goes down after the contraction or stays down and doesn't come back up, that's a concern that the baby isn't recovering as well. So that is the most concerning kind of heart rate variation in labor. But NSTs do not have very good predictive value of how the baby is doing. And that's what she had, an NST, which started this whole process. Then she went into labor, and all throughout labor, it sounded like she said maybe there were some late decels in labor. I wasn't totally clear about that. But if she was on a long Pitocin-induced labor and she had a vaginal birth, her baby was doing fine.
NST is non-stress test.
Yes. It used to be called a contraction stress test, where they actually would induce contractions in the mother to see how the baby responded.
Unbelievable.
Then they stopped doing that.
Well, like you say, if you're going to keep checking the heart rate, you're going to find variations. But again, these nebulous areas are always concerning because women don't have much to go on other than their intuition when they're told that they're hemorrhaging or that the baby has some fetal distress. And the doctor showed his hand a lot, not only by pressuring her into C-section 3 times, but saying, or you can get an epidural, which will likely lead to C-section. So he's so concerned. He wants a C-section or an epidural. I feel like he's saying, will you just do something? Can we get you to do anything?
Right.
Will you take an epidural? And then on top of coercing her into doing an epidural, he wants to say it'll still end with a C-section. How dare he? How dare he say that to her?
Good for her.
I mean, really, really something to be proud of. And you see how much women are grappling. I mean, she still has a birth she can feel at peace with, but women rethink their births countless times. They need to feel at peace. Like, was I wronged? Was it true? Is that right? Did I take a risk and risk my baby? Was that my pride? Was that my ego? Or was I following the healthy course of action? They're looking at every angle to see if they did right by their baby and if others did right by them.
And remember, you always have the choice of delaying, right? So in that situation, rather than agreeing to an induction right away, you could always give it a little bit more time, right? You could do a follow-up NST in 2 days. You could do a biophysical profile. You could get a little bit more data as well.
And you can also just trust and not do all that stuff. I mean,
well, yeah, that's the.
We didn't. Yes. You and I didn't. We didn't.
No, I never had an
told.
NST.
No, we weren't told because it wasn't a trend yet. But now, who's going to turn it down when they say, "Well, let's just check. Let's just check"? Who wants to say no to that?
Well, that's what happens. That's what happens when you're in the system, and when you're not in the system, we're not, having to check all these boxes. We're not having to have those conversations. We're not having to say no. We're not having to get the fear implanted in our brain. We're listening to our baby in our body. My baby's moving at 40 weeks and 5 days, moving normally. So I feel good. I trust that. If you have decreased fetal movement, that's a different story.
Oh, yes.
Hi, ladies. Thanks so much for all you do. I love your podcast, and I learned so much from it. I have a question about Waterbirth. So at a prenatal appointment, I asked one of the midwives in my practice what she thought about it, and she told me she doesn't recommend it. When I asked her why, she said, babies are not dolphins. And then she explained that she's seen babies in waterbirths try to take a breath before they actually came up out of the water. That really surprised me because I had always understood that babies have a protective reflex that keeps them from inhaling air until their face is exposed to air. So my question is, have you ever heard of that happening, and does her comment make sense medically? Just for context, she's the midwife I've had the least confidence in, and the hospital that they work with does not allow water births anyway. I learned afterwards. They only let labor in tubs, not actually give birth in them. So between that and her comment, I ended up switching midwives. But I'd love to hear what you think about what she said. Thanks so much.
Well, when you're friends with Barbara Harper, as we are, you got to reach out and get her answer to this, right? I mean, we'd be crazy not to. She's the expert.
Well, we don't need an expert to answer this, I love to hear from Barbara, and I can't wait to hear what she has to say. But that was just a stupid comment.
Of course.
Stupid comment. Makes no sense. And again, this is just there's a very obvious answer to this question. But
For
let's hear
sure.
it.
Well, I haven't listened to this yet. She just said, "Is it too long?" And I said, "We're just about to play it now." But she always says more.
Barbara she's wonderful.
We always learn from her responses. So I do always want to get everything we can out of her. So let's see what she says to that.
She's coming back on the podcast, by the way.
I can't wait. I know.
We have a very important water topic to talk about with her.
Okay, let's see what she says.
Hi, everybody. Harper with Waterbirth International, joining you for an update from a question that was sent in about what a midwife told a client. The midwife said, "I won't do water births because I've seen many babies take a breath under the water." And that, my friends, is impossible. It's physiologically impossible. And when I just explain a few things, you'll understand why. Number one, the baby has to switch its circulation first from a fetus to being a newborn. And that happens very quickly with introduction of the face and molecules of nitrogen in the atmosphere and the presence of gravity hitting the face, stimulating nerves in the face, the trigeminal nerve in the spinal column. And that sends a signal to the brain to close the shunts in the heart. The shunts in the heart close and blood starts pouring in from the placenta to stimulate that switch over of fetal circulation to newborn circulation. And the first place that gets oxygenated blood is the lung bed. And in the lungs, everything south of the terminal bronchus are the little tiny cellular structures called alveolar spaces. And there's 50 million of them in a newborn. And those are surrounded by capillaries, and those capillaries get engorged with blood and take out the fluids from the lung cells and put it into the circulation. That's number one. Number two, well, the baby is in utero, in water, in fluid, and it comes out into what I call an expanded womb in fluid. There's no sense of stimulating that trigeminal nerve and causing any switch from fetal circulation to newborn circulation. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen with a water baby, and it doesn't happen with a breech baby. Breech babies stay in the head, is the last thing to come out, and that's when they hit the atmosphere and get stimulated to switch from fetal circulation to newborn circulation. So as the baby's under the water, the most frequent question I get when I teach doctors and midwives is, how long can the baby stay under the water before it needs to come up? And I say that is the decision of the mother, not necessarily the provider, but we just have to caution. Reach down, check for a cord, and slowly lift the baby up into the atmosphere. The head can be out and the rest of the body can be in, and it's going to slowly switch, but within 60 to 90 seconds, that baby's going to be, it's going to be screaming, and that's okay. So just to let you know that for 40 years, I've been attending births at home, in birth centers, and in hospitals around the world. I've been teaching and had 30,000 students plus in doctors and midwives and hospitals and medical schools, and not a single person in the 40 years and all the babies that I've seen being born has ever had inspired and ever had a gasped under the water. It's physiologically impossible. For more information, just go to waterbirth.org, and I'm happy to send out videos to anybody that would like to have more information. Go to waterbirth.org and send me a message. Do take care, and happy holidays, everybody.
God bless that woman.
She's the
Did
best.
she not give 50 more facts than you and I could
Absolutely.
possibly give?
Absolutely, she did.
She's so unbelievable. If she weren't doing the work she were doing, the world would be without so much valuable information. She is
It's really
so
true.
important. She's an author. She's still traveling the world doing her work. She is such an important human being and so knowledgeable. And we have to retain this knowledge forever now that she's gone through the effort of learning it.
Yes, and I think she's just coming out with a new book.
I don't know. I hope so.
I think it's true. I can't wait to read it. I have evidence of this in my own birth experience with my middle child who was born under the water with her mouth wide open.
We've always heard about that.
I mean, I looked down and I was like, what the heck? She's wide open screaming. Looks like she's screaming, which actually did kind of catch me off guard. And I was like, oh my God, is she going to breathe? Like, I need to lift her up. So I did bring her to the surface, not super quickly, but more quickly maybe than I would have. She didn't take a breath. She just had her mouth open, just like they do in the womb. They don't breathe underwater because exactly what Barbara just explained. They cannot. They can't do it.
Well, didn't Ruby eventually, like, what happened next?
Well,
I saw her mouth open and she wasn't breathing air at that moment. And then within the minute or so, she did start to?
Well, once I brought her to the surface, the whole normal newborn physiologic transition happened and she let out a real scream.
Barbara made such an interesting point that I wish I could say I had thought of before, but I hadn't. And I think the obstetricians haven't thought of using this against women yet either. But she said, well, look at all the breech births. We're not, of all the risks they love to throw at women about having a vaginal breech birth, how often do they say, well, that baby could also take a breath before the head is out? And Barbara's saying, nope, because there are those nitrogen receptors in the cheeks, on the face. Nature has this covered.
Oh, they use that excuse. They definitely use that excuse.
Oh, they do? I haven't heard that.
Yeah.
I'm
mostly head entrapment, but also, the baby could breathe or, suffocate.
Not true.
It's not true. And it's not true in the water, as evidenced by the fact that if a baby's mouth is wide open and they're not breathing, it's because they can't. So
can't or don't need to because they're already obtaining oxygen anyway.
Both.
Yeah.
Don't need to and can't. Their physiology won't allow it.
Right. Their physiology hasn't reached the point where they can yet. So it's an actual impossibility, as Barbara said.
Right.
And that midwife who told the woman that I've seen it happen. I've heard so many stories where midwives and doctors say, I've seen this. Someone should call her bluff on that and say, really?
Completely. And the comment about being a dolphin is just the dumbest thing. It makes no sense. That just makes you sound stupid.
It's so ridiculous.
So
when people say things like that, it's like they think you're dumb or something, and it just makes them look dumb. Like, what are you talking about? It reminds me of like the weirdest thing I ever heard a woman say. That's quite a statement, I guess.
I can't wait to hear this.
It's not true, and it's so random. I'm sorry for how my brain works. I'm really sorry. This is completely off topic, and it's a ridiculous, silly story, and I probably shouldn't even be sharing it. But I don't know why this just reminded me of the weirdest thing. I was once on a business trip in Atlanta, and I went down, got to the office there, went to lunch with a couple of women, and we were in a line having sandwiches made. And I don't remember what happened, but like I was saying, oh, I'll have lettuce and tomato. And then the woman who I was with, who worked at the company, ordered tomato, and she said, you eat lettuce? And I was like, doesn't everybody? Like, I was just like, what? I said, yeah, you don't eat lettuce? And she said, well, I'm not a rabbit. And I was like, okay, one of us is definitely insane. I don't know which one it is. Like, that's the craziest, most arbitrary thing I've ever heard.
Right.
I'm
Makes
not
no
a
sense.
rabbit. Oh my God. Anyway, sorry, everyone. Totally off topic. Just came flying back into my brain 25 years later.
Okay. Quickies?
Yes.
All right. Oh, also, one last thing on her. She said, this is the midwife that I trust the least. She is correct in having that feeling.
She should seriously go back to her and say, you know what? I've learned it's impossible for a baby to breathe underwater. Can you tell me more about what you think you saw or the experiences you were referring to? It's just such nonsense. I hate when people lie to manipulate other people, and they should be called out on that because now they're just doing it to other women. I mean, look, the time another random story flew into my head, but I've probably mentioned on the podcast, there was a time a midwife at Yale said to one of my clients, you know what? I always tell people what was it, the erythromycin? Just do the erythromycin anyway, because you never know if the woman in the bed before you had an STD.
Oh my God.
Can you believe that?
No.
It's literally called a sexually transmitted disease. And by the way, how disgusting to imply that Yale isn't keeping their bedding immaculate. But are you willing to throw Yale under the bus you're so desperate to manipulate your client. You're willing to throw the hospital you work for under the bus in the process? Where is the bottom to this pit of an absence of ethics on any level? You're wronging everyone you can wrong in your path. It's just unbelievable. So yeah, the woman asked me in class, she's like, I mean, my midwife said, do it just in case, because you never know, blah, blah, blah. And I was, I've heard
it's just another example of silly rhetoric that gets passed down. She probably heard that somewhere else. Somebody else said the thing about a dolphin, and it just gets repeated, and it makes no sense, and it just is quickies.
Okay, fine.
Okay. Is it nutritional? Oh, okay. So it's quickie time. Don't we have to say that?
That ship sailed. You started without doing your little sing song. You're
Okay.
too late. Okay. It's okay. We're just gonna have
It all feels awkward now.
It's fine. We're gonna get through this awkward moment and continue.
Okay.
It's fine. Everyone likes to see our faults and our little mishaps. It's much better than when we're.
You mean we're not perfect?
No.
Come on. Is it nutritionally depleting to nurse while pregnant? Well, it depends on how well you eat. Can be.
Interesting.
Can be. I mean, you're asking double demands on the body. You got to grow a baby and make milk. Both are very demanding. So if you're not compensating for the second demand, then yes, that's the quick answer. Does expressing colostrum during pregnancy help milk come in faster after birth? Not necessarily, no.
There's no rush to get the milk to come in anyway. Just let it.
True. I mean, what it does do is gives you the skill to hand express in case you need it. So it is a decent thing to practice. You definitely do not have to, and you definitely don't have to harvest and save colostrum. But knowing how to hand express is helpful. My first hospital birth was on Pitocin. I had postpartum hemorrhage and manual placental extraction. Will it happen again? I'm currently planning my second birth at home with my midwife, which is why I am asking. Not likely.
She could have
totally different set of circumstances.
We don't know if she really hemorrhaged. We don't know if she hemorrhaged because she was given Pitocin in her birth. The manual extraction, what the heck was that all about? That should virtually never, if not never, be done, according to Barbara Harper in episode 200. She said, hands out. Yeah, virtually never.
If she was induced in the hospital, your uterus is more likely to experience the uterine atony after birth that causes postpartum hemorrhage. In a physiologic birth at home, that's less likely. So the answer is, do you need to worry about it? Will it happen again? Not likely. Don't worry about it. Is there a downside to taking a prescribed progesterone in the luteal phase? Well, it depends on why you're taking it.
What's the luteal phase?
The luteal phase is the second half of your menstrual cycle after you ovulate, when your corpus luteum is supposed to be producing progesterone. If you have a progesterone deficiency, and you're trying to get pregnant, or you're trying to regulate your cycles, then it's a good idea. Stick with bioidentical. I guess the only downside would be to take it if you don't need it. Is breast milk that's been frozen for 3 years still safe to drink?
That's a long time.
Probably yes.
That's a long time.
I might be the only person who says that, but when something is frozen, it should not change over time. It's frozen.
Yeah, but haven't you taken food out of your freezer and just thrown it in the garbage because it had like ice chips on the outside of the package? Or I feel like frozen things get weird after time. I've thrown away a lot of frozen food because I just feel like, it just still doesn't feel quite right
It
anymore.
probably, you threw it away maybe because it got a little warmed and then cooled again or something.
I don't think
That's not
so.
ideal, but sometimes freezer burn happens, but that doesn't mean it's bad. So,
I just want to know who the milk is for. It's 3 years
right.
later. Who's drinking this
Who's
milk?
drinking it? So give it to your husband first and make sure he doesn't get sick, and then you give it to your baby. How common is it to have to wean completely for your period to return? I see more and more of this. It's not common, really. Most of the time, a woman's period will return after she gets to the point where she's going more than 6 hours overnight without breastfeeding. But I do see a lot of women who need to fully wean to get those prolactin levels down.
It's common when the child starts eating too, eating food, getting food from another source, right?
Yeah, because prolactin level goes down, milk supply goes down. Can an epidural cause a baby to not nurse well because they're essentially drugged? Well, with fentanyl in the epidurals these days,
It can
there's
affect
a lot
the
of
baby.
controversy around that. But
It can
yes,
affect the baby. It's not true when they say it can. Of course it can, which just means be more forgiving of the bonding process. Be more forgiving, allow more time, allow more space. Don't freak out about anything. Just allow more time. That's all.
remedies for a cough and a sore throat while pregnant.
Oh, coughs are like the hardest thing to have any remedy for. They just have to run their damn course. You can have a cold
Honey.
and get through it so well with supplements, and then the cough can last for so long. I guess, honey,
Soothing.
anything that's good for your immune system, avoiding dairy and avoiding sugar are definitely top.
Good.
Liquids, warm liquids.
What are your thoughts on separating feeding time and sleep time so baby doesn't need the breast to rest? My thoughts are give the baby the breast to rest. End of story.
Okay.
Breastfeed your baby to sleep. You don't need to put time. The stupid wake window after feeding before they go to sleep is, in my opinion, dumb.
That did not even exist. You know what? You've said stupid 3 times in this episode and dumb once. This is great. I don't know what's gotten into you, but you're finally letting your hair down now in season 7.
It's the 7-year cycle.
Right, that's what you
Just
said.
wait. You don't know what you're going to get this year.
Sleep windows, what are they called? Wake windows didn't even exist when we had children. They didn't exist. It's just a fabricated concept.
It's a sleep training tool, and it's a way to make parents feel guilty and overwhelmed about going against their instincts.
Let it go.
I'm really torn on vitamin K, nothing to do with anything else. I already declined DTAP, TTAP, and ROGAM.
We did a very, very thorough deep dive on newborn interventions at patreon.com/downtobirthshow/shop. And you can just buy the newborn interventions 75-minute workshop filled with all the research on newborn interventions. Really, we put hours into that.
Vitamin K is the one that most people get hung up on.
Yeah, I can see why.
It's not a yes or no. You really do need to get the information and make an informed choice. So.
Yes. It's not a no-brainer like so many interventions are.
All right. Last one says, what is a smell that gives you nostalgia?
Oh, gosh.
Every smell? I mean, are there any that don't bring you back? Any strong
One totally
smell?
brings me back to when I was young and in love. It's the smell of, it's a cologne. And I think it's, who makes it? It's called Obsession. I don't remember, but if I smell that, I am back. I am back in Munich, young and in love. I mean, it's the most powerful smell association that I have. It's fascinating to me. It's so rare. It's years before I encounter it. But if I see it, I have to walk over and just play with my mind a little bit and just be, because the olfactory sense is our most powerful sense, apparently. And the other one is like, this is rare, but I love to encounter it. And I don't really know where and when it happens. It might be like maybe an old bookstore, but there's a scent associated with first grade for me, like the old writing tablets we had and the glue we used. And there was just a scent with early education, like schools. And I think schools are just a little fresher and better ventilated now or something. But there's real scent associated with being very young and starting school. Those two just blow my mind, how they can bring me back. What about you?
The smell of pine forests. That's a really big one for me because I grew up in the woods.
Yeah, me too. The smell of skunk cabbage brings me back there, actually, because every now and then a skunk cabbage would get, knocked over a little bit.
Palo Santo. That's a really powerful one for me.
What is that?
Palo Santo. Oh, it's such a good smell.
What
Palo
is it?
Santo it's a wood, South American wood.
And where do you encounter this South American wood?
Yeah, it's used a lot in like spiritual cleansing type of environments. So maybe in a yoga class.
Oh.
I encounter it in my house.
So it doesn't bring you back to a faraway memory. It just
brings me back to
an anchoring scent.
It brings me back to a phase in my life. Yes, a period of time in my life where I was around it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So it brings back those memories.
What a creative question. No,
that's a good one.
That before. Nice.
There's got to be so many more.
Oh, for sure. We're going to think of more when we get off this. That always happens with the personal questions. It's like, oh, that was my answer. How did I? In fact, that happened the other day when in the New Year's Eve episode, someone said, "What's a belief of yours that would surprise people?" And this morning I woke up and I was like, that's the one. And I thought of it because it's not the one I said when I was put on the spot in that episode.
It's hard to come up with these things on the spot for sure.
But I thought of it. Yeah. And the I don't know if I should say it now. The belief that would surprise a lot of people is that I don't consider myself a feminist.
Oh, yeah. I kind of hate the feminist movement, honestly.
Well, I feel like it's betrayed women in many ways.
It has. Yes.
And
I mean, there's part of it I like, but a lot of it I really dislike. I'm with you on that.
It never sat quite right with me and I couldn't quite figure out why. And I'm a strong believer, obviously, in equality. I mean, come on. But I am not someone who ever divides the sexes. I have never once used the term toxic masculinity. I've never once used the term mansplaining. I just, I'm not into dividing the sexes. And I don't know. I think men being masculine is a beautiful thing. Women being feminine is a beautiful thing. Just however people are expressing themselves, they're entitled. And it's not to talk about a toxic human being. Toxic men and women both exist, but I don't like to characterize any of it based on the sex that half the world is. I don't like that vibe at all. So as a result, if feminism is about any kind of superiority or like, I don't know, girl power, I'm not into it. I just don't play along with any of that. For some reason, it never felt right to me.
Well, there's some amount of equalizing and leveling the playing field that needed to happen, but it went too far. And one way to really mess up society is to masculinate women and feminize men. You will have an effed up society if that happens. And
that's been happening. That's been happening.
It's happening. I know. And anyway, we could have a whole podcast discussion.
We probably should.
So
now everyone's got stuff to
let's
say.
do that on Patreon.
So call our hotline and tell us what you think of this incredibly provocative topic we just raised.
Yeah. But I've been saying that for years. I have a little dislike for the feminist movement.
Yeah. I just don't like any movement to go for being superior or better, or I'm just not into any of it. I'd rather just be a humanist. I just don't like it. It just sits wrong with me in every way. It always has. Equality is an entirely different thing.
That's important.
What's that?
Our feminine power is our biggest power. So keep our feminine energy with the feminine.
It's a very beautiful and necessary thing. As is masculine.
What we are. Mm-hmm. It's same with men. I mean, a man has got to be masculine. Jeez. Okay.
Or else, he says. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for the questions.
I had one more important thing to say.
You did? On that topic?
No, not on that topic. Oh. Never mind. I don't have to say it.
Are you going to tell me when we turn off the recording?
Maybe.
All right, everyone. I'm on it. I'm going to find out what it is. I'll get back to everyone on this. All right. Have a good one. We'll see you next week. You want to say it, don't you?
Are we done now?
No.
Oh. That's why I didn't say it.
Okay, we're done. Over and out.
Bye.